And we
We are
are
live.
live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to TTSN, the Transformational Squirrel Network, where we make shift happen. Today, we want to introduce you to our guest, Corliss Rassyle, and she's a Canadian inspirational speaker, best-selling author, the Certified Success Principles coach, Dare to Lead trainer, podcast host, event orchestrator, motivation expert, and the founder and CEO of Corliss Co Consulting Inc. And she's from Saskatchewan. So,
Yay!
down home girl, welcome to our show, Corliss.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. What a wonderful introduction. Thank you.
We are so excited to have you here. And we want to know how you got to where you are today. My goodness, that's a whole lot of stuff.
It is. And actually, most of that you've just described actually only happened in the last 5 years. So I have a story that kind of connects back a little bit further than that, obviously. And I want to share part of that because I feel like it's really important. As you've already said, I was born and raised in Saskatchewan. My parents are still on the farm. I'm one of 8 children. And I really feel like I'm a girl from the farm. I feel like even though I live in the city of Prince Albert, I feel like, the farming, community, the spirit of farming is still in me. Not that I'll ever be a farmer or that I, want to be, but really it's just the homegrown values that we have in Saskatchewan. I just feel like we're just really good people here, and I'm really proud to be from here. I was born and raised on the farm, like I said, but my big thing was that I wanted to have the chance to be at home with my kids when I became a mom. However, I still wanted the chance to have a career because my mom never had that opportunity. She was home raising 8 children. So my hopes and dreams as a child were really just to grow up, get married, have a family, but I also wanted to have a career. Now, what's interesting about that is that I kind of fell into my career without realizing it. I didn't have children yet, but I fell into a direct sales company. And when I say fell, I think it's really a good description because I had only actually planned to start and stay with it just for a little while. That happens for a lot of people when they start a side hustle. I thought, oh, I'll just start and just do it for a little bit. And what ended up happening was it did end up staying with it just, part-time while I didn't have children. But when I had my first daughter, I was like, this is the ticket. I could be at home. I could have a business from home and be home to raise my children. Of course, at that time, I only had one and I ended up having 3 kids. And that opportunity, that one decision that I made, like to start in that company, completely transformed my life. Like it really was a life-changing opportunity because I actually ended up being with the company for 27 years.
Wow.
I had all 3 of my children while I was home working. But there were so many things that business did for me because I grew in confidence. I learned skills like public speaking. I learned to set goals and achieve them. I learned to handle rejection. I learned to balance, having my children and structuring my own time. There was just so many things that happened. But also on top of that, I was blessed with this amazing opportunity to meet thousands of people across the country. I got to travel because, of course, they gave me all these luxurious trips all over the place. I mean, I kind of had it all, right? I got to do and experience it all. It was amazing. And I ended up having a team of thousands of consultants that I was leading. And it was just a beautiful thing. So that's really kind of the backstory and where I come from and what led me to where I am today. Because what ended up happening was around the 20-year mark, I started feeling like I was kind of made for more. And what I mean by that is that I had all these skills now. I had all these things that I wanted to share. And every time I went to coach an entrepreneur that was in my team, it always came back to the same opportunity. It came back to my direct sales company, and that was the vehicle that I would teach them in order to, better their lives. And I felt like something was calling me, I guess, just kind of like a little whisper that was just, I wanted to do something more. Not that I wasn't grateful for what I had, but I just felt like I wanted to do something more. So I ended up deciding that what really lights me up or what really makes me passionate is to help people, kind of figure out what's important to them, tap into that personal power to achieve it, and then guide them to get there. And that's what coaching is. So I ended up starting my company with a few vision board workshops, and those vision board workshops became a master class because I was like, I got to create a class to help them get their vision. And that snowballed into one-day empowerment conferences. And honestly, I've never looked back since. So the book, the podcast, everything all happened after that.
Awesome.
Wow, that's incredible. I just want to mention to everybody that's watching, if you have any questions for Corliss as we go, feel free to type them in and we will get to them. Excited to answer anything that you have.
You bet. Absolutely.
So we were talking earlier about one of the things that you do is empowering people. So just to, through their thoughts, decisions, actions. So how do you go about that? Like, where would you even begin?
Well,
somebody,
Sure. Yeah. I think the big thing about what I do is I feel like it doesn't fit just into one size fits all. I don't feel like it's like a cookie cutter mold, because a lot of times people come to me and they're at a different point in their life. So some of them might be, lacking confidence. Another person might be really lacking direction. They don't even know what they want. Some of them feel like, I'm just coasting through life. I feel like unfulfilled at the end of the day. So what I do is I have people come to me and I really find out what they're looking for. And then I kind of help them get from where they are to where they want to be. And I help them define that and the steps in between. And the big thing about the thoughts, decisions, and actions is that I feel that every single person has the ability to lead. As a matter of fact, I feel like every person is a leader. Now, to some of you, you might be thinking, oh no, I'm more comfortable with being a follower. That's not what I mean. See, if you look up the definition of lead means an example to follow. And especially in a social media and a virtual world, I mean, even in your profession, everyone is influencing. So everyone has that ability to lead. If you think about, a mother or a parent in their home, they're leading their families. If you think about, your community and your neighborhood, you're leading in your neighborhood and how you show up and who you are. And if you go to your workplace, the exact same thing. So what I really do is help people kind of tap into that power, women specifically, help them tap into that power of like, you have that power within you. Now, who do you want to be? What do you want? And how are you going to show up? And that's where it links down to the simple system of what you think, what your decisions you make, and then how you take action on those decisions.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, it's so true. Like, people are at different places, right? So like you say, they might be starting from a different place than the person right beside them.
So true. Well, actually, in my own experience, so really this was born from my own experience, because one of the things that I didn't share was kind of we all have these moments in our lives, these things that completely transform us and change the direction of our lives forever. One of the things for me was, when I made that decision to start with my direct sales company, I had no idea at that time how that decision was going to shape the rest of my life, but it did. Another point was I was married for 20 years. And when my marriage ended, I just kind of was just struggling to even survive and try and figure out what was I going to do now. And I just felt so lost. And I had, a lot of, it was disappointing, and I had kind of lost hope, and my dreams were gone. And it was just like, okay, now what? So every person has different things that go on in their life story that shake things up and change their path. And we all need help on getting that back on track. And sometimes we need someone to believe in us when we don't believe in ourselves, which was certainly the case for me. So now that I am in that position in my company, I've chosen to make a career out of it, is helping people really figure that out, and then showing them that they have that potential within them. They have the power within them to do anything that they choose to.
Oh, perfect.
So we have a question. What are your podcasts called?
my podcast is called Conversations with Corliss, and it is like my passion. I am just, I have to tell you, like, so 2 years ago, I had it up on my wall that I was going to do a podcast. It would be it was kind of on the back burner. And I sat with it and I sat with it and I sat with it. And then last year in January, so it's been a year, I went to Oprah, and it was the last trip that I got to take before COVID. So I went to Oprah in Minneapolis. I was in row 6, and Oprah was standing right there in front of me, and Oprah was like, "What dream haven't you birthed yet?" And I was like, "I know, I'm doing the podcast. I'm going home. I'm doing the podcast. That's what I'm doing." So I literally mapped it out in the airport in Minneapolis. I was like, this is what it's going to be called. It's going to be a conversation. It's going to be casual. I'm going to take all of these amazing people that I know, and I'm going to give them a platform to share their stories. And this is how it's going to roll. And sure enough, like 3 weeks later, bang, 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 it was all lined up. Podcast is out. It was incredible. But here's what the surprise was. See, this is what happens when you follow your passion and you kind of go with that. Just don't even overthink it. Just jump in and do it. Because I had no idea how to do a podcast, like zero. It was just like, but the decision was made. As soon as the decision was made, I'm going to do it. And what ended up happening was, I do this podcast, and the pleasant surprise was that it aligns with who I am as a human being, that's the pleasant surprise, because I love to learn. Like, I am like this sponge, like, teach me, teach me, teach me. And then if I get to pick people's brains, then I mean, how much better could that be? And I love elevating people. Like, I like taking people and giving them a place to share, and like kind of putting them up there and out there for people. So it just ended up being like just a perfect kind of mix of everything. So it really shouldn't be a surprise, but I love it. So it's called Conversations with Corliss. I have some amazing guests. Darcy Lang was just on my show. There's actually quite a few like guests that I really think you should check it out. It was awesome. It's awesome.
Fantastic. We can relate totally.
So I want to thank, yeah, no doubt. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And Scott has a comment here. I tried to lead a group of kids, but I was not comfortable in doing that. And I don't know how to be an example. Anything that you can say towards that?
I would like to say something towards that, because there's a couple of things. It sounds like you're just lacking a little bit of confidence. And it's like, when I was lacking confidence, so whether it be the podcast, actually a really good example of this was I got inspired that I wanted to write a book. No, actually, let me back up. Even when I was starting my company, I was like, hey, I want to lead this. I want to be a coach, but no one really knows me in this place. I've only been doing indirect sales. Is that going to be enough? And what I asked myself was, what's making you lack confidence? So Scott, the question is, what's making you lack confidence in yourself? And then whatever that answer is, then act on that. So in my case, I felt like I needed some sort of certificate, some sort of official training. I needed some sort of certification or something, because I was lacking confidence that I could do it. So when I asked myself, if you're not a 10 on the confidence scale, what would make you a 10 to confident to do that? And for me, that was getting a certificate. Once I acted on that, I felt like I had the confidence to go and do what I wanted to do. So if you're trying to lead a group of kids, perhaps the answer for you is asking yourself, what would make me feel good about this? And go read a book on it, pick the brain of a mentor, ask another teacher that leads kids that age. There's all kinds of solutions, but just ask yourself what's going to make you confident, and then just take action.
And the big piece being take action.
The good old action.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. People ask me all the time, because I have really stepped into my confidence, but I got to tell you, I wasn't a confident person. My confidence has literally blossomed since my divorce. So it's been 10 years. So, and the reason that I say that is because there were so many things after I talk about this in my book, actually, there were so many things that I thought I couldn't do because I'd never done them before. And like, I'll give an example of we love to go fishing, and I don't swim. I can barely swim. Let's call it that. And I don't know how to drive a boat. And I thought I would have to give up fishing in a boat with my son. And he was only 8. And I was like, I don't want to give this up. So a couple years after we got divorced, I started stepping in like one at a time, like one little piece at a time. I started saying, okay, you're going to tackle that. And I had to take action. So I told my son, we're going to go fishing. Mom's going to rent a boat. We're going to do it. I was so scared. And, we got into the boat. The guy gave us gave me the how to, like how to drive the boat, what to do, how to turn it, how to emergency, everything, And, we left the dock that night and I just remember feeling so empowered. I was scared out of my mind, but I just felt so empowered thinking like I can do anything. Because if I can do this, I can do other things. And it's like, you just got to step into it, one step at a time. And like, we didn't catch any fish, but I'll tell you, I have video footage of my son singing that night. And he's like, my mom's driving a boat. It was so cute. And it was just, a huge, beautiful breakthrough experience. So if you're lacking confidence in something, then just start one small step forward. And then once you tackle that, you can accomplish the next thing and then the next thing and the next thing, and your confidence will come.
Absolutely. It will. Yeah. And it's important to take on some of those challenges that you think you can't. Because if you take on those challenges, you're going to prove to yourself how much you really can.
May I say something here? I have a mantra. It's like it's kind of been guiding my life. It made me very successful as a direct sales entrepreneur. And my mantra is just always in the back of my mind that every once in a while, is it okay if I say the D word?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. Okay.
Anyway.
So, I would always do this to myself. I'd be like, okay, every once in a while, just blow your own damn mind. Like, what would blow your own damn mind? And I would set something that would be like, okay, I'm just going to blow my mind on that. So I would just set some sort of target and I would like head down, go for it, accomplish it. And as soon as I did, I would just be like, okay, what else could I do? Like, it just encouraged me to keep going and keep blowing my own mind. Not all the time, but like every once in a while, blow your own damn mind. That's kind of like my theme for my life.
Absolutely. Yes. That's confident.
So empowering.
Yeah. Confident people work through their fears. They don't let them hold them back. Right?
Yeah.
So that's how they're confident, is working through the fears that they have had.
Yeah. In all these years of doing uncomfortable things, I've yet to find a solution. And all the people that I've coached and mentored and supported, I have yet to find a solution. To get comfortable, you have to be uncomfortable first.
Yes.
It's just the way it is. So it's like you got to push through that and then you'll get comfortable. And then you push through that. I've actually reframed it in my mind because of my mentor, Jack Canfield. I have reframed it where now it's like, Jack always says, if you're not a little bit uncomfortable, you're not growing. Yeah. And that's the truth. Like at least that's been my truth.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%.
And don't you find that feeling doesn't necessarily mean that it's scary? Like that feeling is the same bloody feeling as excitement, that feeling of fear, right? And really tuning into that feeling and saying, wow, you know what? Okay, this doesn't have to be scary. This can be, holy shit, like look what could be, right?
Yes.
Like,
yes, exactly.
Get excited about it instead of being scared of it. A bit of a perception twist as well can really help with some of that stuff.
I agree.
Absolutely.
So I really would like to hear your take on the power of choice.
Every single day. And I'm going to just be really transparent. So I want you guys to know I'm just like you. I have my challenges, and some days it's really hard, especially like we've been 11 months into the pandemic, I think we're coming up to a year here, and it's getting long for people. It's getting hard. It's getting, so it's like, it's harder to, make that positive choice in some cases. And sometimes it might just hit you where it's just like, whoa, there's just a lot going on for people, right? As you had referenced when we first started. So there is always a choice though. And the choice might be that you might need to give yourself a little bit of time to have self-pity, but just don't let yourself go too long. If you're down in the dumps, it's like I had a tough week last week. Last week I was really challenged myself with the power of choice, like knowing I have choices. And I just did everything that I could, and I still couldn't get myself out of it. So my choice was to take some time off, to just completely disconnect. And I actually picked up some paintbrushes and a canvas, and I started watching YouTube videos, and I zoned out and I let my head just rest, and I just disconnected from everything. And you know what? It didn't take very long after that to get back on track. But sometimes the power of choice is even choosing to step away. So my philosophy about the power of choice is, it goes like this, and this is the foundation of it, and I want to explain it to you. So when you think a thought, so as you know, I'm trained by Jack Canfield. I'm a certified success principles coach. I'm also Dare to Lead trained with Brene Brown. Okay. And I've also attended and met Tony Robbins. So I've had time with all three of these amazing gurus. Okay. And what you notice about each and every one of them, even though they teach it a little bit differently, and now Corliss is going to take all three teachings and put it together in my own method, it's all the same. So basically, you think a thought, so your mindset, that's why they say mindset's everything, because it really is, because it's kind of the bottom layer. So you have a thought that you think, and that thought creates a feeling one way or the other. So you think something and it ignites a feeling. So your emotions are connected to that. How you're feeling is going to determine how you act or don't act. It's going to be whether you go out and have a run or you lay on the couch, whether you're happy or you're sad. Like, there's all kinds of things that are connected to that feeling, but it's the actions. That action is going to create your result. So if you look at your thoughts creating an emotion or a feeling, your feelings create how you act, and that creates your results. You can see that in that scenario, your thoughts are directly connected, or your results are directly connected to how you think. How you think is the foundation of it. So when you look at that, if you understand the foundation of that, and it's like, okay, I'm feeling really bad right now, I'm super stressed. If you were to trace that back, there's some sort of thought connected to that. There just is. So you trace it back. So your feelings are actually an indicator that, hey, something's not right here in my thinking. You know, if you're off, like in how you feel, then it's like something's going on back there, if you're feeling a negative emotion of some sort. So you can go back and go, okay, well, here's what I'm thinking, here's what I'm focused on. So maybe you're focused on, you know, lack of finances, or that you haven't seen family, or you have, I mean, there's all kinds of things that you could be thinking that would make you feel terrible. So if you can, in that moment, shift your thought, you're going to shift how you feel. And if you can do that, it's going to change how you want to act or make it easier to take action. So a real good example of this is like somebody who says, I'm a night owl, I hate mornings, okay? I mean, everybody knows someone who says that, okay? I don't like mornings. So they think that, well, can you imagine when the alarm clock goes off early in the morning, how do they react? Hit snooze, right? Yeah. Right. So the thought creates a feeling, the feeling creates the action, snooze, and then they're rushed, they're kind of yelling at their families, they running out the door, they get to work, they give off a bad energy. But if they could shift their thought to, I love mornings, you know, that's my time for myself, I like that I can get centered. If they could just shift that, then it could create a whole different outcome for them. So that's the first thing. The power of choice. So we always have a choice as to what we think. We never have a choice, or not never. There's a lot of times we don't have a choice of what goes on around us, but we have a choice as to our thoughts always. That's where the power is. Now, the second part of this is E plus R equals O. And I actually really want you to write that down. If you have a pen handy, write this down. E plus R equals O. So E stands for event, R stands for response, and O stands for outcome. So a lot of times people will complain about outcomes. They'll complain about events, you know, like this event happened, it's out of my control, this is going on in the world. They watch the news, they get upset about something, and they complain about outcomes, what people are doing, right? So you look at those, and what they don't realize is that their power lies in their response, because you could change your response and change your own outcome. Mm-hmm. So somebody could, you know, two people could get cut back from a job. So companies do cutbacks. Two people get cut back. One's angry about it and they stress about it and they worry about it and they complain about it and they talk to everybody else about it, how unfair it was. And the next person's like, you know what? I was probably ready for a change. Maybe something different is going to be available. Maybe I'll find a job I love even more. Mm-hmm. And you can see in both of those scenarios, the outcome is going to be very different because of their response.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, there are sometimes a feeling that you have, you attach to, you attach a meaning that isn't what the actual event that occurred, right? So for example, I started taking a course last year, and it was Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, and started taking it. And a friend of mine said to me, "Oh, you know what? You're going to do great at this, even if you don't finish it."
Oh.
And that's what I did. I went, "Oh, that's, you know what? Like, I don't like that, because I've been told throughout my life that, you know, you should just finish this. You should finish that. You should," because I start things. It's the way I take action, right? And but knowing that what he does for a living is he encourages people to take action the way that they always take action. So he thinks that's an awesome part of who I am.
Oh.
But I took it to something that had happened in the past, thinking that, you know what, I've been told I haven't finished this, I haven't finished this, I haven't finished this. And now you're saying I'm not going to finish this. When in fact, he was saying, you know what, you're going to do awesome at this, regardless if you finish it or not. You're going to do great. But I was taking a meaning from something that happened in the past and putting it onto this event. So we also have to be careful of that. You know, when we're thinking about things that are happening in the now, are we putting a meaning from the past onto this situation, or are we actually giving it the meaning that it has right now?
That's so interesting. That's a great share. Thanks for sharing that. Because I feel like a lot of people, so you know what your question was, Cindy, about the thoughts and the power of choice. A lot of times people are coming from their past conditioning, their old programming, exactly as you've demonstrated, and they don't even realize that they are. So that's the power of having a coach, obviously, is because, or you know, doing personal development work to kind of unravel that and be like, am I actually making this as a conscious choice as to who I am today, or am I using this past conditioning by default? It's almost like a default that just comes up. And until you grow and understand yourself and where you come from and what your thought patterns are, and you kind of start interrupting those, until you do that, it's going to be very difficult for you to change your situation. You know, one of my very favorite sayings of all time is the definition of insanity is to continue doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Absolutely.
And yet, how many people do that? Myself included. It's like, this is crazy. If I want to have something different, I have to stop doing the things I've always done. And yet our programming that's back there sends us there on default. Most people aren't even aware of their thinking. They're not aware of their past programming, and they're living their lives from that. And it's kind of insane to think that you're going to get a different result.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I mean, you bang your head against a wall 1,000 times, and then, you know, if you could keep doing it, or you could think smarter, right? Think different, try different.
Or find a different way, a different way, you know, interrupt it. I think that if I were to summarize what I do, I think that's what I do. I help people tap into their power, but you know where their power is? Their power is in understanding and interrupting that pattern. That's, you know, that's what I help people figure out. And then as soon as they interrupt that, it's like, whoa, you mean I could have anything I want? Wait a second. I want to do this then. This is what I want it to be. Now, how do I do that? And then it gets so fun and exciting, right? So that's kind of where I take people from where they are to where they want to be. We interrupt that pattern, and we figure out what it is that's holding them back. Then we figure out where they want to go, and then we get them in that direction.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
literally bringing the awareness to the fact that you're even running that pattern, or that there is a pattern, or that you know that you've been doing the same thing over and over and with the same result, and not even realizing it, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You know,
You know,
we don't know where we're at.
I want to share kind of why that happened for me, because once I recovered from my divorce, like meaning, you know, myself and my kids, we kind of landed on our feet, because you need a period of time after that happens.
Right.
And once we landed, that was me. I was like, I don't even know what I want. And my kids are getting independent. and they're going to be like not needing their mom, and my career doesn't feel as fulfilling as it once did because I've kind of been there and done that. I've kind of feel like I've done everything I can do, even though I loved it. And my marriage is kind of, that's over. So I just found myself going, geez, like I'm middle-aged. It's like, now what? That's a big question I kept asking myself, like, now what? And
Right.
I had people in my life that lost their parents. I had people younger than me that were my friends that died. And I just kept saying to myself, like, there's got to be more to me than this. And I don't want this to be it. Like, I'm going to interrupt the pattern. I'm not just going to go back and do the same thing here. Like, I got to really lock onto and do this deep soul searching of like, what do I want my life to stand for? Who am I now? And where I ended up landing when I asked myself those really hard questions, and they were hard because it was a long time since I'd asked myself those questions. I sat there and I said, I feel like I have the whole rest of my life to live. And the good news is I have more experience. I know more stuff. My kids don't need me as much. I have more money. Oh my gosh, this is going to be the best part of my life. And I got like, I went from sad to like excited. As a matter of fact, the phrase that came out of my mouth, I can tell you the story about that. I was driving down the highway. My son was 10. He was in the front seat on his iPad. I didn't even think he was listening. And I was getting so many ideas to start my company and workshops and things that I wanted to do with my conferences that I was recording into my voice note on my phone. And as I was saying it, I was convincing myself, I was like, well, the kids, I have more time, I have more money, I have more experience, I want to share all these things with other people, and maybe I could help other people more. Now I have more time to do that. And I got all excited and I ended up saying midlife is the best life. That's what I said. Midlife is the best life. I'm going to like use the last half of my life is going to be the best part of my life. And I was like doing this thing into my phone. And I said to my son, I think I should write a book. And my son looks up from the iPad and he said, Mom, that's really cool. Like, I think you should do that. And I was like, I'm going to do that. And I literally drove home and I Googled how to write a book.
Nice.
And that's how I ended up in Jack Canfield's training. So I got Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul, The Secret. Oh my goodness. I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn from Jack Canfield. So then I registered in his program. And the funny thing is what they don't know about the good old fashioned farm girl is that if you give her a contact at the office to ask questions, she's going to get her money's worth. So I was relentless. I was like, okay, what about this? And okay, I'm thinking about doing this. And I was just bothering them all the time, I'm sure. And I'm sure they were like, every time they saw my number, they were like, okay, let's just get someone else do it. And then,
Saskatchewan chick again.
Yeah, it's that chick from Saskatchewan. So then, matter of fact, Martha was her name, and she'd be like, "Hello, Corliss." Like, I'd be like, "Hey, how are you?" So anyway, I got a question. She's like, "Okay." So probably no one else called like I did. But anyway, you know what? That ended up kind of me putting on Jack's radar. So then that's when I got invited. So I got this like strange invitation to apply to work at his mastermind. And it was so weird because I was on my way to Tony Robbins in Florida when it came in. And I was like, oh, this is a joke. There is no way. And I thought I went to Tony Robbins, walked on fire. And then when I left there, I went back to the hotel that night and I was like, wow, if I can walk on fire, I can at least apply. Like, what the heck? So sure enough, I applied and then they interviewed me. And then the next thing I know, I'm invited and I was in Jack's home like in 2 weeks after that. It was crazy.
Oh, wow,
It was just,
crazy.
if you really decide, like if you're really passionate and you really decide and the purpose is strong, like you can do anything. Like things can just turn around so fast. And the coolest part about that, if you could see this right now, but I'm really big on vision boards because I really believe in dreaming and I believe in the power of visualization and setting your intentions and knowing what you want. And when I was floundering in that period of like, what now am I going to do with my life? I decided that I would get educated, like I shared already. But I wasn't going to go the traditional route of like going back to school. And I literally, this was in March of 2017. I put a picture of Oprah, Ellen, Jack Canfield and Tony Robbins on the center of my vision board, and I put the words highly educated. That was a conscious decision of like, I'm going to get educated because I need to get educated to feel confident, and this is who I'm going to learn from. And I swear, when I put them on there, I think I thought I would do a course or follow them online. Like, I don't know. I had no idea I was going to end up in row 6, sitting on the couch in Jack Canfield's house and meeting Tony Robbins. Like, can you imagine? That happened all within a year. It was crazy. And here's the coolest part. I got to Jack's house and I was shaking. I was like, this can't even be happening. Like, what am I going to do? So Jack's waiting there. He greets us in his driveway, tells me to go in and make myself comfortable. I'm like, hey, is this actually happening? Like, this is so crazy. So I go in there and I'm like, I'm going to find the best seat. I got to get front row where I could see Jack. Like, I wanted to be. So I chose a seat. Oh, I feel like I'm revealing so much stuff right now. So I chose this seat, and Jack comes in like later and he says, interesting, you chose to sit there. And I was like, oh, sorry, can I sit here? And he's like, oh no, it's great, you can sit there. But that's where Oprah sat 2 weeks ago when she was here.
Oh,
and I was like,
Oh,
my bum is where Oprah's bum was. I was like, it's so happening. I even took a picture of like, I'm sitting where Oprah's sitting, like selfie.
That's awesome.
It was the neatest thing. Yeah. And then when we opened that session, the first person to introduce herself was a state senator. And I was like, okay, state senator. And then the next person was the award-winning cameraman who flew over protected enemy space, like for presidential stuff. And I was like, oh, how am I going to tell them I'm from Saskatchewan and I drive a minivan? Like, I don't even know why I'm here.
Awesome.
And I literally said to them, I don't even know how I got here, but I am so grateful. Like, thank you so much. I'm here to learn from all of you. Like, and they embraced me. I think it's because I was just so like farm girl-ish. Like, I can't believe I'm here. And they were just awesome. So it was just a crazy whirlwind. And honestly, that's only a couple of years ago. And it only took, from the time I put it on my vision board, it only took from March until December. And I was in Jack's home.
Wow. I love that story.
Crazy,
And
right?
actually,
Fantastic.
I want to go back to the beginning of the story when you were talking about traveling with your son, and when you decided that you decided basically that your past wasn't going to define you, right? That you
Totally.
Yeah, you decided that's it. I'm moving forward. And what did you say into your phone?
Midlife is the best life.
That's awesome.
And you made that choice, right? You made that decision in that moment, and boom, the whole world changed right from that moment, right?
Yes.
Coming back to the power of choice.
Yes, it really did. And like that really started the whirlwind that I just described. But what really happened just before that was, it was only a couple months before that. But basically what had happened was I had been sitting with that feeling for a while of like, I don't want this to be my whole life. Like this can't be it. And what I mean by that is like same career, same thing, I just felt like at the end of the day, I'm not fulfilled anymore. And I was becoming the person that I didn't want to be because I started like kind of being, cynical and I didn't have energy. And I just was like, this can't be it. Like, I don't want this to be my whole life. So in that time of soul searching, I said to myself, no, like, this isn't it. Like, what would light you up? And I made a vision board, but then what happened was I went to a splurge night. This is the absolute truth of exactly what happened. I went to a splurge night and I was lit up because I had just made a vision board. And all of the girls in my splurge group were like, what's with you? And I'm like, oh, I made a vision board. I've made some decisions. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I was all excited because like I hadn't thought about what I wanted for so long. I had always looked after my family, looked after my kids, built my career. It was always about serving someone else. I didn't even know who I was in the whole thing anymore. So I got lit up. And then those girls said to me, well, would you show us how to make one? And I was like, sure. So then I did a vision board workshop for my splurge group. And then word got out that I was doing these workshops and people were like, one right after the other, they were filling up. And the common denominator of every single one of them. It was an emotional experience for people. These women, it had been so long since they thought about what they wanted. And that experience just lit them up. Like, and I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to help people. I want to help people who are just like me, who don't want to live their lives to the fullest, making me tear up. You know, I want to help them, like, not have regret and not end their days every day going, this is just, I'm more than this. Like, what do I want? What's important to me? I want to help them live a full and meaningful life. And for me, that's the purpose. And through those workshops, the purpose of everything was started. And I always say the purpose is, if people say like, I'm not motivated, I'm like, you know what? It's because you're missing purpose. Because as soon as you have something that's really pulling you, like I got so motivated, I had to capture all those notes into my phone because I was so motivated, because I was connected to this big purpose of what I wanted to leave behind. And, you know, when people are missing purpose in their lives, you can choose it right now, today, by using the experiences that you have. Your past doesn't define you. It's prepared you for a purpose. And that purpose is, we can all use our stories. We can use our experiences, our talents, our gifts. We can use those to better other people's lives. And that's where the leadership portion comes in. Because when you step into that power of choice and you say, I'm going to lead this, like I am going to show up and use these things to live my life fully and leave the world a better place and contribute to people and bringing the best of me to everything that I do. That's where leadership kicks in, but it happens so automatically because the purpose is real and it's awesome, and it gives you energy and motivation, and it impacts everyone. I'm sure you can feel it right now when I'm talking, because I'm like purpose driven,
sure.
right?
Absolutely.
And the same thing can happen for anyone. It's not just for me. It can happen for anyone. And that's really what led me to the voice recorder that then started and triggered a whole series of events from there.
Right. Oh, that's amazing.
I love it.
Fantastic.
I just want to say, Angela says, and Angela is the one that reached out to me and wanted us to interview you. And
hello,
I'm so
Angela.
happy
Thank you.
It's been a wonderful experience. She says, I love your passion, Corliss. It's infectious.
Aw, thank you. Thank you so much, Angela. And thank you for inviting me and introducing me to these lovely ladies and having me here this evening.
We're excited that you're here and you're sharing all of this with us. You know, and we're wanting to empower people, right? And we're wanting to make sure that people are able to embrace themselves for who they are and really move forward and know that they are okay, no matter who they are and where they are. You know, it does take that choice. It does take that purpose to help them move forward. And if you feel like you've chosen a purpose and now you're not sure and you don't know, and you know what, maybe that's not the purpose. Maybe you need something bigger. Because if it's big enough and you have set your standards or your bar high enough for yourself, you're going to reach it. You're going to go for it, you know. So don't let yourself hold you back when you make that choice. Keep pushing, even through the fear, even through the challenges. Just keep pushing, right?
I agree. Yeah, you know, when I look at purpose, like there's a few things, because of course my book is Lead Your Life and How to Live with Purpose, Passion, Confidence. So the first 4 chapters of the book are all about purpose. And there's a few things, like I have studied this, like I have studied this. It is like it's because I always wanted to feel purpose. And you see, my real passion here with this is that I feel like what happens for people is they just kind of, life is crazy, right? Like there's so many roller coasters, people suffer trauma, they go through, you know, terrible experiences, they have such hardships, you know, they experience loss, and all those things happen to them. And the biggest thing is that we lose ourselves in just trying to manage those things. So we end up kind of coasting. And it isn't until something really significant happens that we wake up and go, oh my gosh, what's my purpose? So they say purpose is an incredible alarm clock. It's because it is. It wakes us up. It makes us go, it shakes us and goes, okay, like get more set into this, be more intentional, you know, find and choose a purpose and live it. And it's like a divorce happens, certainly happened to me, and it shook me up. You know, somebody loses someone, they get a health condition that all of a sudden it's like, you know, you're sick and you got to try and recover from that. And that's when people really start questioning. My real mission here is to help people wake up to that and to be more intentional and to wake up without the trauma, without the health loss, without someone dying to wake them up. It's like we can choose that every day. And as I've studied purpose, the reason I didn't think I had a purpose was because I'm a little farm girl. I'm like from Saskatchewan. How could I have some great big purpose? And it's like, that's so far from the truth. So I went searching and searching for it, studied it, read books on it, asked Jack about it. I mean, I'm like, purpose. What does this mean? It's such a big word that it gets all misconstrued for people, because for some it's spiritual, the way they teach it. Here's what I think about purpose. I think that your purpose will evolve as you evolve. Because, you know, when I use this example, like when I was 14 years old, I might have been this great big human being, but all I was trying to do at 14 years old was find friends and fit in, you know, but I was still Corliss. But now that I've evolved and I've got all these life experiences, I'm still Corliss. But my purpose has evolved because who I am now is much different than I was when I was younger. And it's evolved to the point that it's still the same person. I still have this overall purpose for my life, but how I can share it, how I can communicate it, how I can live it and experience it is different in who I am today. So if you're not sure what your purpose is today, you're normal. That's the good news. It's okay. And this is where I decided, and the empowerment comes up, is that I didn't want to spend my whole life chasing after purpose, trying to figure out, like, I didn't know if someone else was going to tell me what it is. Like, am I going to die? And all of a sudden somebody's going to say, oh, here's your purpose. I didn't want that. As a matter of fact, I said to Jack, I want to choose it. I don't want to chase it. I want to choose it. So we had a big discussion about it. And basically what it came down to was this, is that who I am today, with all the experiences that I have, the lessons that I've learned, the, you know, God-given gifts that I've got, if I use those every single day, if I get up and I'm intentional in being that person and sharing those things to better my family's lives, to better the people around me, to show up here and share my experiences, then I can feel purpose at the end of every single day, which means now no one's telling me what my purpose is. I'm choosing it for myself.
Right. Perfect.
Love it. Claire says, what you seek is seeking you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. What was that?
What you
One of our comments, you
is
seek is seeking you.
It's so true. It is. And, you know, even as I sit here and I think it's oftentimes we're not focused on moving forward, or not focused on our purpose because we don't know what it is. We aren't clear about it. And so to get yourself clear about your purpose is something that you can help people do, correct?
Oh, I would say that's probably one of my talents. I would say that's a talent. And it's not going to be for everyone, because I've already shared that that's my take on purpose. That's how I create purpose in my life every day, is the empowerment of like choosing it versus, you know, chasing it. I kind of envision it like this, for those of you who are visual people. It's like, you know, at the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, it's like there's this pot of gold and you're always chasing it and you're trying to get to it, and it's like further and further away and you're never going to quite get there. Well, I'm the truly empowered person that's like, I don't want to chase it. I want to choose it. I want it to be like right now. So the big question is to just say to yourself, if I could impact other people in some way, how would I do that? That's a great place to start. How would I do that? So, you know, my mom is just a perfect example of this, because my mom is a farmer's wife, right? And she, in her perspective, raising 8 children wasn't really that big of an accomplishment. And my mom and I have had many discussions about this. And, you know, like, she should do what is good, what she feels she needs to do. But if my mom was to look at her 8 children, And the power that she's had in influencing those children to be who they are, even in the one child that she's got right here. Like, I have this beautiful opportunity to impact people all over the place, and it's like that it's my mom's purpose living through me that's actually been fulfilled. So that's why you have to just stand in it instead of saying, what's the purpose? And I'm kind of lost on that. Remember, your thoughts create your feelings. If you're constantly saying to yourself, I don't have a purpose, it's like, I don't know what it is, that thought's creating that feeling of emptiness. Right. So shift that around to, I choose purpose. I choose to see that I'm valuable and I'm worthwhile, and that just by showing up as the best of myself, I can influence other people. I'm being a good mom. My children are going to grow up and they're going to influence other people. It's what I call the power of one. You take that one person and we can influence people every day in just who we are. Sometimes we don't even know who we're touching. There might be someone sitting here listening right now. I might never meet you, but I might influence you just a small bit today, and you might carry that with you and you might pass that on to someone else. That's purpose in action. And that's where you have to just choose it.
Absolutely.
Ripple effect.
Fantastic. I want to give an example too about a way to slow yourself down so you can see some purpose. And one thing that I know I used to do all the time, and I still do on occasion, is run for the finish line. I was a sprinter growing up, and I have always run for the finish line, right? But when I'm running for the finish line, I'm forgetting to look at the little rabbit that's hopping along beside me and the flowers growing along the path. And I miss out on so much that if I stepped back and just stopped for a moment to breathe and to allow what's going on around me, right? That I might see what that purpose really is, rather than trying to chase and chase and chase and chase and find all the time. Just embrace what's around you and observe it and just be at peace with it. Because sometimes that's the best way to find out what your purpose truly is.
I think what you're describing is giving yourself permission, just giving yourself permission to just see that it's all there right now. It's all there right now within you, around you, and you can just choose it. But a lot of times we complicate it, we confuse it, we chase after it when it's just living right here, right now in you. And you can get up every day and just be that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have a couple more questions. One is, I've been in a bad attitude. How do I get out of that? And another is, where can I find any vision board tips you might have?
Okay, so how can I change my attitude? Well, that's a choice right there. So, I mean, I appreciate the fact that you're just being honest and you're like, you know what, I'm aware my attitude really sucks right now. So it's like, acknowledge it, feel it, and then go backwards and say, what am I focused on? What am I thinking about? Because usually if our attitude is bad, it's because we're focused on something negative. So perhaps you can switch your thought. Now, what works for me to switch my thinking is always to get around empowerment, inspiration. I am like relentless in feeding my brain. So I will be on the treadmill and I am like, listen to something inspirational. You're here. So it tells me that you're already in that place of like, I want to shift. So allow it, decide it, choose it, just know that you can. The other thing that really works for me is if something's bothering me and it's causing me to be irritable or anxious or stressed out or whatever, I find I can't think of what the word is. Oh my goodness. I get it out. So I journal it. I'm trying to think. There's something about pen to paper. Taking the thoughts out of my mind and working it out, even if it makes no sense to anyone else. I just write it out and it's like, hey, I'm feeling like this is what's going on. And just getting it out somehow is just very, I can't think of the word, it's healing. That's still not the word, but you get my point. Yeah. So those would be the things that I would do. I would, trace it back to what's bothering you, whether you write it or you think about it. Immerse yourself in, personal growth, inspiration, development, and just make a choice to say, I'm just not going to live in this space. Because, you know, when somebody's really bothered by something, if you recognize that you have the choice to pull yourself out of that, like, don't you want to? Like, you don't want to feel awful. You don't want to get up every day and be crabby, and, you know, you want to feel good. So make the choice to switch the thought and do something different. What was the second question?
Where can I
find any
vision?
Okay. Okay. So the vision boards, I usually walk people through a whole process, obviously, with visualization. And that's like a 3-hour workshop. So obviously I'm not gonna be able to cover that here. But a couple first tips would be to think, you know, if there was, because a vision board is like the overall vision of your life. It's not like one goal. It's really doesn't even have a timeline. And I really encourage people not to have a timeline when they make a vision board, because it can happen sooner than you think. And this is my experience speaking here, because when I put Jack Canfield, Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey on there, did you think I thought I was going to see them all right away? Like, no, I didn't. It happened sooner than I would have ever guessed. So that's why no timeline. It's just to stretch your imagination and say, okay, if I could envision and have anything in my life, if I could have, you know, certain material things, if I could experience things, if I could travel places, if my family was, you know, this way, if I could contribute to others this way, like, what would my career look like? So it's almost like just get into that space of like envisioning. You'll notice I close my eyes all the time, because it's like, that's how I envision. It's like, I envision it. How do I want this to look? And then as soon as you have a few things in mind, you cut out some pictures and you put them there, because the power of visualization is that you're basically reprogramming your subconscious mind, that old programming that we were talking about that says, you know, you can't have that. You're going to replace it with mental images through your vision board that say, yes, you can. So you're almost just, you know, automatically putting it there. And I'll be honest, like, for those of you who have never done this before, my very first vision board was like in my early 20s. And I went to a workshop, and honest to goodness, I was the worst student ever. The woman said to me, you know, we're going to cut out pictures, we're going to make these vision boards. And I did not get the concept. And I'll tell you why I didn't, because I had no clue that I had any power to create my own life. I was really just thinking, I hope I have a good life. Like, I hope some good things happen. I hope I get married. I hope I get a good job. Like, I had no idea that I had some power in my own situation. I wasn't exposed to that, like, as a child. So I thought she was asking me to look into a crystal ball and like imagine my life. I thought she was kind of loopy, honestly. So, but it was a workshop. So I was like, okay, well, I'm either going to sit here and do nothing, or I'm going to do it. So I ended up doing it. And I remember putting things on there, and I thought, these will never happen. This is stupid. That was actually what was going through my mind. But I was like, okay, whatever, I have to do it. So I put them on there, and honest to goodness, I took the board home, forgot all about it. We were moving, and we pulled out a bookshelf, and something fell from behind the bookshelf. I didn't even know what it was. And I went over and I was like, oh, what is it? I picked it up, and it was my vision board, the original one. And not a word of a lie, every single thing on that entire board had happened. Like, everything. And I was like, whoa, there's something to this. This is crazy. And it all, matter of fact, the house we were moving into was the house I had on the vision board. Like, when we were moving, I was like, this is so crazy. So it just really convinced me. And now it's almost like a guiding principle. If you could see in my office, there's a vision board right there, a vision board right there, and there's a vision board right behind me. You see it?
And I have one right here. My boyfriend and I just created on Valentine's
Beautiful.
Day.
Yeah. You know what? That's such a good thing, because that's like a powerful conversation to have with your partner. It's like, what is it that we want our lives to look like? It's about stepping into, so instead of being powerless, that you take whatever life gives you, you're stepping into your power by saying, these are the things that I want. This is what I want to experience in my life. This is what I'd like to contribute. You're setting your intentions in pictures. And the power of visualization is so powerful, because it plants it in there to reprogram all of those old thoughts to tell you can't have what you want.
Well, that's fantastic. That's so much wonderful.
I think we could talk all night.
We could. I'm sure we could. You know, that's absolutely. But we are at about almost at 8 o'clock here. So, is there anything else? Actually, first, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to do some squirrel shots with you before we move any further.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
So I'm going to start off with, where do you go to think?
My happy place, which is right here where I'm sitting in my office. I created an office that I love, and this is my happy place where I go to think.
Fantastic. If you were a crayon, what color would you be?
Oh, aqua blue.
Oh, nice. And what about a flower? What's your favorite flower?
Oh, I have two actually. I really like lilies a lot, and I really like tulips, which is awesome because it's a sign of spring, fresh.
What's your best feature?
Oh, probably my energy, my enthusiasm.
What's the last spontaneous thing that you did?
I ate a chocolate bar just before we got on here. That was definitely spontaneous. I was like, you shouldn't eat the chocolate bar. I'm going to eat the chocolate bar. Oh, well.
What's your best feature?
Didn't we cover that
Sorry,
one?
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
that's okay.
Yeah, I went back to that one. Sorry about that. What makes you smile? Yeah, squirrel. What makes you smile?
You know what? Being here, I really love contributing to people. It makes me so happy.
Awesome. Who's the most influential person in your life?
Probably my son, actually, at this point right now. My son, he's 14 and we're really close, and it's just him and I left at home. And I would say he influences me every single day.
Perfect. What's something that puts you out of your comfort zone?
Uh, hmm. Gosh, do I even have a comfort
Not
zone
much
anymore?
anymore.
Honestly, you're stumping me on that one. I'm like, wait, is there anything? You know what? I do have something. LinkedIn. I'm really working on getting comfortable in LinkedIn. There's something about, and I'm working on my mindset with that one too, because I feel like it's like a professional space and I'm like kind of fun, even though I'm professional. And I'm like, do I really fit there? So actually that would be something.
Okay. And coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay.
Well, coffee morning, tea in the evening.
Yes. And so, Cindy, you have one other question that you were going to ask.
My favorite.
Yes,
If you
mine too.
could climb to the top of a mountain where the whole world could hear you, what would you say?
I would say love yourself, period. That is the most important thing to me. Our world needs more love, and love always begins with you. And you can't really contribute love and experience love on the level that you want to unless you love yourself first. And you really can't feel a sense of purpose unless you feel like you're lovable and worthy. So love yourself just as you are today.
Absolutely. Yes. Beautiful. Now, Corliss, is there anything else that you wanted our viewers to know?
I would say, I think the whole thing that I just want to share with you is that life is really short, and none of us have a guarantee here. So really, truly, like, don't waste a minute. You know, if you're sad, upset, feeling bad, sit in it for a bit, acknowledge the feeling, but then move forward, because life really is too short, and you just can't waste it. Just enjoy it. I would really want everybody to just live in that, like this moment right now. Go and be everything you can be, and do everything that you can, and fix the things that are undone, and be happy, because this is it.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Okay, where can our viewers find you?
Well, I'm very social media friendly. You'll find me on social a lot. However, my website is corliss.ca. So everything that I do is on my website. I have a really powerful program that can I just tell them about the program I just did and one that's coming up?
Yeah.
Because it, honestly, truthfully, it actually blew every expectation that I had. It was so powerful for all of the women that joined. So I had started it. It's called the 21 day. It was called, so I did it on January 1st. It was the Power of You 21 Day Personal Growth Challenge. And it was 21 days where every single morning they would wake up to a video from me. The first 7 days were focused on releasing the past. Then the next 7 days were on living in the present. And then the next 7 days were on propelling towards the future. And every video that they got that day was geared towards accessing their personal power and the past, present, and future. So that's basically what the outline was. And then I designed a journal that gave them all the prompts that supported the video and everything. I had 154 women join. 100% of them reported like crazy breakthroughs.
Wow.
It was the most unbelievable thing I have ever seen.
Fantastic.
It was so great.
Beautiful.
And they were just like, Corliss, you gotta do it again. So I did it again in February, and that is I think I had like 40 some reviews yesterday alone. Like from that, we're like, this was so mind blowing. So I've actually decided, and it's going to launch, and we're going to do another challenge, but this one's called the Best You 21-day personal growth challenge. So whether you've taken the power of you or you haven't, it's going to be another challenge that is really about being the best you. So same outline. I highly encourage you. I mean, it's like a couple of dollars a day, and it's just, it could honestly change your life. That's what's happened for these women that have participated. So watch my website, sign up for my email list, because then you'll be notified of that. And all of my social is at Corliss Co. So CORLISSCO. So Corliss Co. for Corliss Company. And that's on Instagram. It's on, I have a Facebook following. That's where I am mostly. I'm on LinkedIn as Corliss Rassyle, and I'm on Twitter as well. So I'm pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Well, I think I'm going to have to sign up for that. The Best You. Sounds amazing.
You will genuinely love it. Like I'm
awesome.
not even kidding. Every product that I create is all about, like, my entire company focus is you will always gain more than you invest. That is the standard that I hold myself to. And this program, like it proved it. Like it was so good. And I'm not increasing the price, even though I know I could. I'm not, because I want more people to have access to it. And I really feel like we need it right now. So it's launching on March 10th on my website. You'll be able to actually purchase your spot, and the challenge starts on April 1st.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Corliss. We so appreciate you being here with us today, taking your time to do this for us. And we look forward to looking up your Facebook group, all of your social media, and looking into your new course that you're offering. So thank you again for being here. We'd like to thank all of you for being on and watching with us tonight. And we look forward to seeing you back here next week. So
Tamala,
signing off. Yes.
May I just say one more thing? Because
Absolutely.
what's interesting here is you are thanking me, when really it is with heartfelt gratitude that I want to thank both of you for having me, all the audience for watching. Like, you know, we talk about purpose. Every single one of you gave me a chance to live my personal purpose today. And I am going to go to bed so full of gratitude to you and to the audience. So sincere thanks to every one of you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Blessings.
Beautiful.
Signing off from TTSN. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Night.
Good night.